not like on.
Oh yeah. Sinking in the
So to start off, just a little bit historical context of our city, or specifically the canal system. This all started in the 1600s, 17th century, when the Dutch discovered that they could sail the oceans like the Portuguese and Spanish did before them. And with that, they went east and they brought back spices. And it was those spices that made the city very wealthy. So the trades in those spices. In a period between 1600 and 1750, but merely between 1600 and 1600. Now, in case somebody does get very warm, and I have a few umbrellas if you want them for the shades, but you also have to be careful with the wind, but I just want to give it a heads up. Yeah, and it's not even our oldest building, eh? Rijksmuseum dates back to 1880.
Beautiful.
Now let's see if it fits. I could have tried.
You don't need it?
Spooky bridges! Now, like I said, we have 75 kilometers of canals in Amsterdam, and that's not only the major canals, but also these connecting canals. And the canals were mainly used for transportation of goods. So the big tall ships, and if you want to see a replica of one of those ships, they're on the east side of the central station, near the Maritime Museum. There's a replica of a 17th century sail ship. The big ships docked at Central Station, and then the goods were transferred to smaller barges that were pulled by horses through the canals to store, to bring all the goods to the warehouses. Going to be having a little bit more wind on the bigger canals later on as well. I promise you. So hold on.
We're very lucky that it's
That's true. But you know, as Dutch, we're always complaining whether it's too warm or too wet. Do you think the coast is clear? Because you can see before me.
No, it's a whole
And he's coming very fast. Actually, he's named after the architect of Rijksmuseum and Central Station, Mr. Pierre Kuipers. Now we're now on one of the major canals, and that's the Prinsengracht. And if you look at the map of Amsterdam and you take Dam Square in the middle, you'll see that the major canals go around it in a semicircle. It starts at the single behind the palace on Dam Square, where the flower market is, and then the first canal is the Gentleman's Canal, the Herengracht, the second one is the Emperor's Canal, Keizersgracht. This is the Prinsengracht, Prince. But the thing about the Paint Canal is that the buildings that you see here, and again, you know, think back 17th century, but also think about that it's been 400 years, so some things have changed. But the majority of these buildings were originally built as warehouses. Now, one of the significant details of a warehouse is the fact that they have 2 or 3 windows. Now here you see the windows being same size. That's because they're now all converted into apartments. Originally, they did not have same size windows. They had 2 smaller windows on the side, 1 bigger opening in the middle, because the bigger opening was for the goods to go in, and the 2 windows were merely for light inside. And I'll show you an example of a warehouse when we pass one, because the majority of people go down beneath the bridge. So that's how they do it. So I told you that all the canals were dug by hand. Well, except this water body. This is the Amstel River. And for the ones with hats and caps, be careful with the wind, that it doesn't blow. So, the Amstel is a rain river that starts south of Amsterdam, and it collects waters from the surrounding fields, and then the water flows towards the sea. And to keep the water levels at bay in the canal, they use lock systems. This is one of the biggest. This is the biggest lock system inside the city. We have bigger lock system on the east side of the city, where the water that flows to the 9th Central Station flows into what we call the IJsselmeer. The Netherlands had a big open sea until about 1932. That's when we closed it off, and now it's all fresh water. Now it's an inland lake, and the water of the river at bay. Had the knowledge to use also the dam of Amsterdam Square is the dam of the Amstel River. It actually closes off the river entirely from the sea, and they only let the water through two little houses. So that's where we got the name from. Amsterdam, Amsterdam. Now, skinny bridge, or narrow bridge as we call it. Or actually, she's called a narrow bridge in English, but we call her skinny. They're already putting the lights on the bridge. As you can see, the red and green means that ship needs to prepare for passing the bridge. They're actually going to open her. Now the skinny bridge is a very romantic bridge. So the saying goes that if you kiss your loved one underneath the bridge, your love will last forever. Where it comes from, the rich ladies lived on this side of the Amstel. And on the east side of Amsterdam, like I said, there was an opening to the sea on the east side, so that's where the shipping yards were. So you can imagine that the big strong men lived on this side of the Amstel, and the rich ladies lived on this, and they secretly would meet on the beach. But you know, they wanted to have City Hall. Now, So when people were not happy, they were demonstrating and were calling out "Stop the opera," or as we say in Dutch, "Stop the opera." This morphed into the name of this place. In Amsterdam, we all know this, not a city hall, Stopera. So you don't get married in City Hall, you get married in Stopera. City Council and our mayor desperately wants us to call it City Hall, but nope. The building looks even worse on this side. The only interesting thing about this area is the daily flea market. How many bicycles do you think they pull out every year?
Just yesterday there was a fire like
You saw the blue boat with the pile? Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's about 15 to 16,000 per year, including mopeds, shopping carts, whatever else they find, bodies. And cars, about 1 or 2 a year.
1 or 2 years.
No, 1 or 2 per year, cars. And then the last one was even one of those very high-tech electric ones. So don't know what he put in it, but it actually went oops, the middle of the canal. A small one like this one. Now, while going through this small canal called the Raamgracht, the window canal, I want to point out this beautiful warehouse in front of us. It's intact in such a way that you see the small openings on the side and the bigger in the middle. And also you see decorations. On many of the canal houses you see decorations. Now what do they all mean? Simply people were wealthy so they could decorate their houses and buildings. Now if you look closely at this one, it does tell you what was stored in this building. And I'll give you a hint, it was not spices. Fish, yes, fish.
Oh, then here.
Yeah, she was first. Little competition.
I just said it really quietly because of the
Yeah, just to make sure. Alongside this canal is where the night watches were stationed. Night watches were the police in the 17th century. Now when the city saw the painting, they wanted to transfer from this area to the palace on Dam Square, which at that time was the city hall. But when they got there, the painting was too big, they couldn't get it inside. So they cut off edges of the painting to make it fit. So when they built Rijksmuseum, they made absolutely sure it was going to fit, because the Rijksmuseum has always been a museum. And as a sort of reference, you already spotted it? It's a hotel. It's a hotel. But if you look up, you see a small bell tower. You already see one figure standing underneath the bell tower. I'll go a little bit to the port side here. You can see it when we pass it. It's easier for you to turn around.
Alright. Thanks a lot.
You see the clock, and then you see two statues, two figures next to the clock. The two figures of night watch. So if you see the painting, you'll see the simple resemblance of the Yeah, and weekends you're waiting on the stairs. So we're back at the Amstel River again. It's a lot smaller here, eh? It's becoming even smaller and smaller because it goes around the corner there, past that tower, and then it ends. So that big river over there ends around that corner. And the tower used to be a coin tower. And the white building next to it, that's the entrance of the main shopping street. Kalverstraat. One through and then out up there. But it has this. And this is Maurits, Butler, the main street. Now, coming up, we have two things. One on the right side of the boat, one on the left side of the boat. So we're going to do the Japanese tour bus thing. If you look on your right, you don't see anything on your left. So I just want to make sure that you don't miss it. On the right-hand side, we have the leaning houses. We call them the dancing houses. You'll have enough time to look at them, but just the first glimpse. Because I also don't want you to miss the southern church. I mentioned it. Now into that little canal, you'll see a small white bridge appear. And behind the bridge you have a beautiful view of the town. And she's even playing. Now the leaning houses, the dancing houses.
Why are they like that?
They are like that because in this area of the Netherlands you need to use piles underneath your foundation. And again, if you go back to the 17th century, we did not have concrete. So they used wooden piles. And it's these wooden piles that start to sink and rot over the course of 400 years. Now this area is pretty bad. And luckily they're standing next to each other so they can lean against each other. So if you're rich enough to buy property in the Amsterdam canals, make absolutely sure you're... Yeah, I kind of say, you know, stopping the boat with your head is very painful for me. And very painful for you and very messy for me.
Ja, toen die niet met de lener. Comienza la aventura del puente bajo. Bajen la cabeza. Puente Ochoa. Vamos bajando la cabeza. Bajando la cabeza.
Be careful.
Sí.
See it and you get comfortable halfway. It's not that bad. But then look at the end. Be careful at the end.
Special surprise.
Exactly. But this boat is lower than the other ones because I can't stay up like this on the other ones. I have to really go next to it.
It still feels very
Yeah.
low, doesn't it? As a
Be careful, eh?